right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, have to be talking to an individual coming off of a big performance in PFL, getting that victory there over Steven Seiler via unanimous decision, and just rolling along, and has to be feeling pretty good about himself. We've got Jeremy Kennedy on the show. How's it going there, Jeremy?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, I'm just in Atlantic City still, so just kind of taking it all in.
Oh, that's cool. How long do you plan to be out there for then?
I'm actually flying home tomorrow. I just usually with these Thursday fights, I like to kind of, because the fiance gets out here and my parents fly out and everything like that, so we make a little vacation out of it. So when I fight on the Thursday, we typically stay till like the Sunday. Like we did the same thing for Long Island last time as well.
And I got to wonder how you feel after a performance like that, because that opponent, over 50 MMA fights, has like a, pretty respectable finishing rate and everything like that. And he was in the finals last season for the tournament championship. What does a victory like that mean for you at this juncture in your PFL run?
Yeah, exactly. Like just the amount of fights he had and how tough he was. It was something different, like I had to kind of make adjustments in the fight. And yeah, I'm sore today for sure. And I've been getting sore, like more sore every day, I guess, since the fight. It's every day I'm waking up and something else is hurting me. I'm like, okay, I guess that was from the fight as well. So it's nice though. It's a nice feeling to have when after a fight you have nothing to worry about, no training or anything like that. It's okay to be sore for a few days. It's just kind of hard work is all it was. Actually, all my training went to use.
So you had a bit of, like, I guess, a preconceived notion of what he would bring to the table stylistically in the fight, and then you kind of had to adjust. What were those adjustments in your estimation?
Yeah, like I thought I'd done. Well, I did do a lot of like tape study and whatnot on him. There's lots of footage on him, and he's been around forever. He's like you said, he went all the way to the finals last year, and he does have those tricky submissions, and he's finished a lot of tough guys that way. So we kind of knew that going into it, but I think I gave a little bit too much respect to his submissions, But it was just more so I didn't want to create scrambles, because that's where he usually finds a lot of those tricky little submissions. And his striking was a lot better, like his range was a lot better than I expected. Like he's a guy that doesn't back up. He's got a really good chin, and so he would take shots and stand right in front of you. And I saw that in a lot of his fights. But I kind of just thought that I was going to be able to back him up anyways. I don't know, maybe that was just part of ego or something, that I figured as soon as we touched gloves, I was going to be able to find the range. But he just took the center of the cage and just stood there, and even if I was throwing, he was right there, right in my face, and he kind of backed me up right to the back of the cage. Within the first 30 seconds of the fight, it was in the spot I didn't want to be. And yeah, it was tough right out of the gate, and then after the first round, I would probably give it to him the first round, and I just knew I had to make adjustments. I was like, I can't get backed up. If he's going to stand there right in front of me, I got to shoot. I got to change these levels. I got to create angles, and I'm just glad that I was able to work that way. It's just kind of cool to do. It's the first time in my career that I've had to make adjustments in the fight. I've usually either been in control the whole time, or it's been an unlucky thing and I've lost quickly like I did last time, before that, which is out of my control. I mean, it was almost like I didn't even have a fight that time. So yeah, it was a good experience, a lot of ring time that I liked to have and needed, especially after the fight before, with Luis. There was a little bit of I was just cautious, and a little timid in the beginning. And I think that's also why that first round went that way. It's just because I was so worried about, I don't want that stuff to ever happen again. I work way too hard for something to happen, so I wanted to start slow, and it kind of worked kind of against me.
Yeah, but it looks like you're moving on pretty well. Like you're going towards the playoffs there, from what I'm seeing. Like you get the 3 points and everything like that. And also, you mentioned the initial loss. From what I'm seeing on Tapology, it looks like you're going to be rematching that opponent there. What do you need to do in the rematch here to ensure a different outcome, do you think?
Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy how that all worked out. Now I'm rematching him, in the first round of the playoffs. So yeah, that's yeah. think watching how Lance fought him, and that's kind of how I wanted to fight him. I just obviously didn't get that chance. You know, it kind of happened pretty quickly. Um, but yeah, I think he's a guy that he accepts the bottom a lot, and with good base, he's got really good rubber guard and whatnot. But with good base, I think he can kind of negate a lot of that stuff. And he's flashy on the feet, but you just have to take your time, And those guys are always sporadic, and it's dangerous. But he does a lot of spinning stuff and all that stuff. But I think if you just go with a clear head, tight guard, and you just fight him, you know what I mean? And just make sure you control the space, and you're cautious. I think it's actually a pretty not easy fight, but there's definitely it's not as dangerous as it needs to be, you know.
Yeah, and you mentioned Lance Palmer in there, and I've noticed certain like pictures and stuff like that of you guys like sparring with each other and whatnot. And it seems like you guys have like a good rapport on social media. Is a fight with him something you're looking forward to in the sense of like this is going to be like a high level mixed martial artist? Like, is there any kind of like weird quandary with fighting someone you have a friendly rapport with, or is it kind of just like you guys are going to go in there as athletes and businessmen and kind of just do the thing? Should that matchup manifest itself in the future?
Yeah, exactly. He's a former training partner of mine. He's a really good friend. We get along really well, so it's not ideal for us to have to fight, but the way it actually kind of played out with the whole seeding and everything is we would end up facing in the finals. So, I mean, if it was going to come down to it, that would be the way to do it, fight for $1 million, and it would just be all business. There's no animosity. We've kind of had, been along this path for a while now, so we're aware of it. It's not like it's been a big common topic of conversation just because it hasn't needed to be. We had our 2 regular season fights that we knew we probably weren't going to get matched up with, and then we were going to wait till July to see how this something played out, and it played out best case scenario. Now he's on one side, I'm on the other, and I wish him the best. I want him to win and continue to do what he does and make that money, and obviously I want the same for myself. So in a perfect world, it's for $1 million, and that's it. And then we're back to friends right after. It's just going to be a nice. I think we're the 2 best guys in the whole tournament. So I mean, it's kind of bound to happen.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that shows like some of the respectful rapport amongst like certain martial artists and stuff like that. Like, regardless of the fact that you guys train together, it's like should it come down to it, you guys will both go out there. And I think if that fight does happen, it would be very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I think. Just like how all our trainings went. We counter each other really well. And that's why we were such good training partners because we pushed each other. We couldn't get comfortable. So it was. It'll definitely be an exciting fight, and I think he's definitely my toughest guy in the whole division, just stylistically wise. And I think I pose a lot of problems for him as well. So I think that just for a fan side of it, like that's the fight to watch as well. But like I said, I just wish him the best. I think he's going to do well in the quarters and the semis, and then we'll see when it comes down to that, when it all boils down. But it's still not even a topic of conversation, because he's not in my way. He's on the other side of the bracket, so we don't have to cross that barrier until after October now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'd made the point in like a prior interview where you're thinking that, what PFL has been doing, it's been showing that should somebody win this tournament that they would be like ranked in like their respective divisions and everything like that. It's like it's just adding to this notion that you don't necessarily have to be in the UFC to be internationally ranked. Do you think since PFL has kind of like changed around to more of that like garner points, enter the playoffs kind of structure, do you feel like they've made those big strides in becoming yet another platform to like have fighters on that level and articulate that, hey, you don't need to be in the UFC to be like top 15 or top 10 in the world?
Absolutely, man. Like I think you look at the division and the guys and the records, and even for me, the people I gotta beat to get there. Like I have to rematch Luis, who's 34-2, and then most likely, I can't play hypothetical, but Movlid Kabilov is going to be fighting Daniel Pineda, and you got to think Movlid's been on a tear, so that's in one night. I'm going to have to beat these 2 guys, and then into the finals, it's either going to be, if I was a betting guy, it's going to be either Harrison or Lance. Like that is a murderer's row. To win in a very short amount of time. And as long as the money's right, and that's PFL's doing it right that way. They're paying their fighters. They're on ESPN. We're in all these. We're in Vegas now, so it's the same platform with very tough opposition, and you're fighting two times in one night. Like that stuff never really happens these days. And Bellator showing another thing with their Grand Prix, their featherweight tournament. It's just there's so much talent in this division that I don't believe you have to be in the UFC to prove that you're top 10 or whatnot. Because the only reason why you were before is because you were constantly fighting the best fighters in the world when you're in the UFC. And now PFL and all these other organizations are showing that we're still fighting the best fighters in the world every time out as well. So I just think the winner of this tournament is going to have a lot of recognition and a very strong case as being one of the top featherweights in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you kind of saw that a bit fighting for a promotion like Brave as well, which is seeming like it's becoming another great platform for fighters and stuff like that. What was it like competing for that promotion? Because like getting to fight in like Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, like probably some cool international travel experiences. And it seems like they value that, martial artist kind of ethos as well.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about Brave was like just the destinations they went. Like I fought in Morocco and Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. So and against opponents from out that way, like Daniel Pilo is from Italy and he's Italian and a regional scene guy, and Murat Magomedov, and fighting world class talent, but guys that I wouldn't really see in typically around here in PFL and whatnot. So it was just kind of cool to be facing top level guys in their division, like in Braves featherweight roster, and where they brought me in to fight, Middle East. It was places I would never, Saudi Arabia, I don't think I'll ever fly to ever, and there'd never be a reason for me to go there. So it's pretty cool to have traveled and fought, and just like you had mentioned, their value of MMA is just a little different too. It's very like respectful, and the show they put on, it's hard to explain, I guess. Like very very flashy and warrior spirit and stuff like that. Like it's just a little different than the North American MMA scene. So it's kind of it had that like one championship vibe to it. So that was kind of neat, with the entrances and they had fireworks and confetti and stuff like that coming down when you won. So it was just a whole cool experience, But I think it was needed for where I was at in my career. Right out of the UFC, I still need to fight that top level, but I still need to stay active and get a few wins in and more ring time. And my striking was coming together because I just moved to Vegas and full time, so I was at a bigger camp finally, and I needed to get a few fights in with them. And traveling on a road with a coach for the first time, flying to Morocco is a good way to get to know him. So I think it was needed, and then I left at the right time, I feel, and now here with the PFL is just where I believe I should be and where I'm going to stay.
Yeah, you showed some real advances in your striking prowess, like throughout your Brave run and everything like that, like getting some good finishes there in that sense. And obviously, like a strong, BJJ guy. I saw you at like the NAGA event in Portland and stuff like that, getting some hardware and everything, and training with Bibiano Fernandez as regularly as you do. Do you feel like the striking end of things is where you've made like the biggest leaps and advances in your game as of late?
Definitely. And I've always had it. I just never used it. In the cage, I would always just resort right to my wrestling. And I kind of just relied too much on it where it became all I did, and then when I left and I started using it in the cage against, when I was in Brave and striking with these guys and strictly just looking for knockouts, and I was getting them, I was loving it, and then I started to switch my game in a mindset of I'm going to go out there and knock all these guys out, and that kind of got me in trouble in my fight with Luis. Is just I didn't even want to think about grappling him, and I think that's the way to beat him, and he was a southpaw, and I ran out, and I I made mistakes because I was so confident in my striking, and now I just think finding that right balance is the way to be, and go out there. You just gotta feel the fight, and take it wherever you feel you have the better strength over whatever opponent, not what you think the fans want to see and whatnot. And especially in the tournament aspect, it's just getting a win is what's most important. So I think now that I have all the tools, I think I can outstrike any of these guys in the division. I think I can outgrapple any of them. It's just a matter of finding the time to do either or against them.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like the PFL structure is like a great fit for just your life in general. Like it seems like you're doing a lot, like getting like a house bought and getting engaged and stuff like that. So can allocate some money towards that. And I think it's cool also that you're looking even beyond this tournament in a way, like in an ideal set of circumstances. If you win, this tournament, you'd like to go forward and, keep going and try to like win another million. But, allocating money towards those things, obviously very important. But how many JBCs do you think you're going to buy if you get that million?
Sorry, what was the last part of that?
I was wondering how many JBCs you think you're gonna get once you get the million here, if that turns out.
I'll be eating lots, man. But the more important thing is I want to try to invest this money right into myself again, and obviously pay off the mortgage and hopefully look for another one, and then invest it right into next season, and make myself a better athlete with this money, and just lifestyle. I'm not a flashy guy. I'm not looking to dump a bunch of money in useless things. It's going to be, I'm going to look the same, dress the same, and everything like that. If that million were to come, but I'll be able to bring in better training partners and really focus on like a high level nutritionist and just little things like that'll make me a better fighter. And just because that's what I'm in here for, it's just a competitor. The money is just another a bonus. I'm looking at this championship belt, and like we were talking about earlier, this recognition of being a top featherweight. The money beside that is going to be even better. The money is just going to be the hard work being paid for. But what I'm doing this for, and what I want to do is I want to win this tournament just to be the best. Just because I'm a competitor, and I've never fought twice in one night, and I've never been in a big 12-man tournament, so I'm super excited and motivated for it.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. It's been cool to follow along with the journey, but you've been great with your time. I'm curious if there's anything you want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here.
No, man. Just I'm very excited about this rematch. I think it's kind of a Cinderella story how the first fight went, how I had to kind of dig deep on this next one here with Siler. And now it came full circle, and I get to rematch my first fight that I feel was kind of a raw deal, and now I get a first fight of the night in two fights, and then I have to kind of go through the back alley, and face the top seeds with Luis and potentially Moglid or even Pineda, and then in the very end, potentially see Lance in the finals would be kind of cool, So I'm focusing on my rematch, and that's all that really matters to me. And I got to take one fight at a time. But I'm very, very, very excited about this rematch and get to right this wrong.
Yeah, I imagine there's like a redemptive quality to it, like getting out there and just sort of, getting everything squared off on that end. And people can check that out coming up, and it goes October 17th. Going to be a great fight, and I'm personally looking forward to it. Thanks for all the insights and the time there, Jeremy, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day too, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks again, and sorry we couldn't dial down a time earlier.
Oh, no, it's all good. We ended up talking. It worked out. You enjoy the rest of your day, man. All the best.